Welcome everybody to the last part of our this afternoon's session. This session is the student online experience, getting to the crux of it. And for those who haven't been in previous sessions this afternoon, my name is Jennifer Peasley and I'm the University Librarian at La Trobe University in Melbourne, Australia. We have two speakers for this session. We have Duane Roth and Joanne Kent, both from the University of Southern Queensland. Duane Roth is a project manager at the University of Southern Queensland, leading the One USQ Experience project, a multi-year investment delivering strategic and practical outcomes for users of the USQ online environment and enhancing digital skills and technology usage of students and staff. He's passionate about developing collaborative partnerships and participatory environments to explore and learn, drive forward ideas and have fun along the way. Joanne Kent is also from the University of Southern Queensland. She's the user experience analyst at that university and the project lead for the user experience project. She has a customer service background with 10 years experience at USQ in student support roles. She spent the last 3 years analysing the online student experience, identifying the gaps, initiating cultural change and developing policy and procedure to facilitate an optimal user experience. Would you please welcome Duane and Joanne?
All right. Hi everyone, my name is Duane Roth and I'm the project manager of the One USQ Experience project. So confession time, this is actually the first time we have delivered this presentation and actually is the first time either of us have presented at a conference before, so please understand we're super nervous. But we're excited about the content and we hope it's not too rough and that you'll get something out of it.
Introduce myself. Is that on? Can you hear me okay? I'm Jo Kent, User Experience Analyst for the One USQ Experience project, and I've had the pleasure of working with Duane the last 3.5 years as we've taken steps to improve the online student experience at the University of Southern Queensland. Welcome to our presentation. We're looking forward to sharing the journey with you and hope you find it interesting and beneficial. To start off, we'll provide some context with a brief overview of USQ and its students. Then we'll discuss how student expectations of online education are shaped by their other online experiences and their lifestyle. We'll introduce the concepts of user experience and cognitive load and explain that impact on student success. Then we'll share an overview of the student feedback and needs analysis we undertook to identify the gaps between student expectation and their experience of USQ's online ecosystem. We'll illustrate an effective way that we found to communicate to multiple stakeholders across the organisation the findings that eventuated from the analysis and how we created awareness for the need to improve user experience and generate support for change. Finally, we'll look at the investment that's been made to improve the student online experience to date and outline our next steps to progress a user-centred culture at USQ.
Alrighty, so University of Southern Queensland, who are we? In 1967 we were established as the Darling Downs campus of what was then the Queensland Institute of Technology, and in 1992 we officially became the University of Southern Queensland. So this year is actually a really exciting year for USQ as we celebrate both our 50th anniversary as an educational institution and 25th anniversary as a university. We currently have 3 campuses in Queensland, Australia. Toowoomba, where Jo and I are based, and Springfield and Ipswich. We also have a study centre in Stanthorpe at the Queensland College of Wine Tourism, a number of education partners, and currently about 27,000 students. So on this particular diagram, this shows the international spread of those 27,000 students. We currently have about 800 international students on campus in Australia, and all the other figures represent those students living in those countries but studying with USQ Online, including 310 here in New Zealand. Other stats that I thought were particularly interesting, so 85% obviously in Australia, 71% of our students study part-time, and 57% of our cohort are aged between 26 and 49 years old. We also have 69% of our students studying online. With so many students now studying online, the higher education sector is more dynamic, competitive and accessible internationally. So it kind of makes sense that the user experience of our online environments is becoming a significant point of differentiation for students. Of course, our students don't actually study in isolation of the rest of their lives. Their online experience outside of the university study impacts on the expectations of their online learning. Places like social media and internet banking, government and retail shops all do business online and invest heavily in making the experience as pleasurable and functional as possible. And really they have to, because clients can go elsewhere, of course. So really, why shouldn't universities be any different? We think that, I'm not ready for cognitive load. So not ready. More and more our users are expecting their online experience to be fast and engaging and familiar. They don't want to waste time having to transition through multiple systems in order to complete a task. They also want to be able to access it in a time and place that fits in with their schedule and be portable across mobile and other devices. Okay, user experience and cognitive load. And I think that actually is my brain right at this point in time. So, given that students come to a university online environment with these experiences and expectations, it becomes critical to understand how the user experience might be impacting their ability to learn, and also if our user experience is actually creating additional cognitive load that is avoidable. I think put simply, cognitive load refers to the amount of information our working memory can hold at any given point in time. So any investment that a user needs to make in learning how to navigate or succeed within a particular system adds to their cognitive load. When we start to think about how many systems a student actually has to access across their learning journey at university, the value of focusing on a user experience becomes more apparent. A user could quite rightfully ask why they have to spend so much time learning how to navigate and use systems instead of just getting down to the learning. We want systems to have user-friendly interface design that is easy to learn, enables efficient and effective execution of tasks, and of course provides a satisfactory and engaging experience. But as Joe and I found at USQ, this can be a really complex thing to achieve. So one of the great things I was able to do on this project actually was to hire some third-year interns to work with us across our various initiatives. And maybe bravely, I asked them to reflect on their online experience at USQ over the years, and this is what they came up with.
What? That is right. Where would it be? No. If I just search, research, journal. Oh my God, why won't you just work? Alex is online, I'll ring him, maybe he'll be able to help me.
Hello?
Hey Alex, it's Sarah from class. Having some trouble getting on study desk, and everyone said that you're the IT hero. Are you able to help me by any chance?
Sarah? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll have a look. IT hero. She called me the IT hero. I'll be your IT hero, baby. I'm connected. Let me have a look. Yeah, I've got it here. You want me to fax it through?
Oh, that'd be so good. Thank you so much.
Okay, shouldn't be too long. Wait, what? No.
Are you there, Alex?
Why?
What were the issues we were discovering? What were our students telling us about their experience? Like most universities, we have a myriad of systems, more than 250 at the last count, all serving different purposes, with different business drivers, dependencies, restrictions, and levels of integration. Feedback from our users, the students, was predominantly around the inconsistencies from one system to the next, and about poor integration between those systems. As one system was upgraded in response to an improved functionality or to refresh the look and feel, it had a subsequent and unintentional negative effect on the other systems that were being perceived by students as they progressed through a task. The individual systems were working well, but the student experience across those systems was noticeably disjointed. They were getting lost between the cracks. For example, the multiple logins required to complete tasks. The look and feel from one system being so different to the next that the student had to orientate themselves and learn to navigate or search differently. A striking example of this was in fact the transition from our sleek public website to the password-protected portal and unbranded systems. In fact, the look and feel of one subject within our learning management system could be totally different to the next subject that a student was enrolled in that very same semester. The need for consistency was clear, and the other theme that emerged was around finding help. Information and resources were located in multiple places, often duplicating and sometimes even contradicting another source. Students needed timely, reliable, contextual help. And finally, our systems weren't working well on mobile devices, which students were starting to use more and more of. So requests for an app and a mobile responsive website became frequent. With so many systems contributing to the online experience, it was challenging to identify and prioritize the gaps without first understanding what the student learning journey was. We had to take a step back and start by defining and getting agreement on what the student online experience at USQ entailed. In essence, it was agreed that it comprised all systems, both academic and non-academic, the applications, tools, resources, digital artifacts, and content that our students interacted with online. These points of online interaction became known as online touchpoints for simplicity. And making sense of the multitude of online touchpoints required a helicopter approach to understand the systems, their user experience, and governance better. So with student needs the focus of the process, we conducted a complete system audit, developed a touchpoint matrix, and mapped the online touchpoints to the student learning journey. Our findings highlighted that a silo effect resulting from system ownership being mapped to the organisational structure was contributing to a disjointed student experience. A subsequent committee audit showed there really wasn't any one forum for cross-institutional collaboration and coordination of the holistic student online experience, and with user representation from our students severely lacking. There were systems with underutilised functionality and systems being used for things they weren't designed to do. Duplicated resources and legacy systems without any ownership, detracting from the user experience. Finding a way to explain all of these gaps to a multitude of stakeholders was the next challenge. We found success presenting a very simple user story to senior executives across the division, key decision-making committees, and a number of frontline stakeholder groups. It was an impactful and visual demonstration of the student online experience using a persona typical of our main student cohort to complete a task that all students would have to do regularly. It clearly showed the cracks between our systems and how the online environment beyond the learning management system was actually having an impact on student success. We set the scene, a typical scenario, in the life of a busy working mother, Julie, settling down to study after a full day's work, having put the kids to bed. Her task was simply to access her course readings in preparation for an assignment. We captured her experience and frustration by studying and frustration of studying online, screenshot by screenshot. The visual impact of the changing look and feel of the system interfaces required no explanation. The activity highlighted the wasted time and energy to complete the task and clearly indicated the cognitive load required to do something that should have been effortless. In addition to a click-through of the system interfaces, which I'm not showing you today because there were so many of them, we also put together a map of the pathways that Julie took in her attempts to achieve the task. Just as well, she was a persistent lady, had studied before, attended some orientation workshops, and was confident with technology. When they saw this, our student support staff remarked that in their experience, other students would have given up. They'd have called for help the next morning, or even dropped out of study altogether. Course leaders told us that now they understood what the students were up against and why they presented so stressed so early on in semester. The user story presentation clearly illustrated the functional issues we had around system authentication and search. The system transitions, clearly barriers to learning, using up a large amount of working memory and adding to student cognitive load and stress. To summarise the map you saw before, there were 5 systems involved, 4 requests for Julie to log in, 3 different search facilities, each with their own interface that looked completely different to the other. And she had 4 unsuccessful attempts to get to the point she needed to reach. Not to mention the disconcerting effect of inconsistent look and feel between the interfaces. The time taken to complete the task was 45 minutes. She hadn't even started reading. And of those 45 minutes, I dare say her confidence had plummeted. This was not conducive to learning. And explaining the user experience this way resonated with our stakeholders. It had a unifying way of highlighting the impact and importance of user experience on a student's success.
Next, yep. And it really did. I think we saw that presentation given to a lot of people, and it was really eye-opening, I think, just as far as what our end users actually really were experiencing out there. So as a result, a number of high-priority, impactful projects were initiated to respond to the gaps and issues identified through all of that investigation and analysis. But as a project, we really had to decide where best to invest the project money in order to get the best result for the overall user experience. Our first priority actually was to look at our online portal. So at USQ, the entry point into our overall USQ online environment was through a portal. We're actually approaching this in a couple of phases. The first phase was to replace an end-of-life technology for the student portal and to launch it using a more sort of stable and flexible platform. This happened in semester 1, 2016, last year, and really improved the mobility of that particular site. Last year we actually had about 919,000 sessions delivered to that portal mobile interface, and as you'd expect and hope, a lot more positive feedback from the users. The next phase of this particular portal project is actually to improve the personalisation of the students' portal and provide more access to a greater amount of relevant information within that one online space. We also developed a new mobile app for USQ, so students could easily access the types of things they're asking for, you know, and download class timetables, campus maps, student admin, and results release was a very busy day always. Semester 3 last year, we averaged about 629 users, I think, per day. One thing we really did invest in, and I guess it's really behind the scenes, but made a significant impact, we felt, was bringing over 30 individual systems into our single sign-on solution, really to improve that jarring and frustrating experience of having to log in continually. So aside from the obvious user experience benefit, conservatively we estimated that this probably saves our users about 3 minutes a day in time. So if we wanted to be really creative, we could estimate that over about 200 days per year with about 10,000 users, you'd probably get to about a $3 million productivity gain per annum. We also focused on creating a whole new suite of system user training tools and invested in an overhaul of our Ask USQ knowledge base, which is our 24/7 online frequently asked question database. This has already reaped massive benefits, actually. So in Q1 last year, we recorded about 72,000 hits to that site. In the same period this year, we've doubled that already. We're now at about 158,000 visits to that FAQ site. The next and final stage is we're looking at institutional search, obviously to improve discoverability of the content across our systems, and that's what we're going to focus on over the next year.
So in addition to these practical components to improve the user experience, we also needed to address our user experience culture, taking a bottom-up, top-down approach. The cross-institutional consultation and collaboration that was done to progress many of the projects Duane has just walked you through helped to change the mindset of our system custodians from focusing solely on their system and how a student interacts with it, to how the student would experience their system as they attempted to complete a task that spans several. Our findings informed the development of an aspirational framework to guide and develop a seamless and intuitive student online experience. And it also provided a common language and talking point for stakeholders to engage with each other and grasp the key user experience concepts. Working with our stakeholders over the past 18 months, we've actually refined those guidelines into more realistic and actionable principles that have been included in our enterprise architecture policy. An associated procedure and tools were also developed to support the implementation of these principles. You see on the slide behind me. And I need to hurry up, apparently. Additional tools and mechanisms to support the implementation of this new policy and procedure are being developed across USQ's operation. So that's the bottom-up approach. And one thing we're trying to do is bring together our key system stakeholders, subject matter experts and user group representatives from across the university on a regular basis to generate discussion, share information and raise issues which will be presented to our ICT Services and Standards Committee. And it's our hope that this forum is actually going to address the gap of the cross-institutional communication between system owners and grow the user experience grow the user experience culture at USQ. So very briefly, this is still a work in progress, and truly we need the senior executive sponsorship to continue and education of the USQ community to continue to grow the user experience, which is going to become even more important with our future technology-first learners who will be coming in the next 5 years, having had technology in the classroom from prep. Okay. So we're running out of time, but we'd really like to close on a final video our interns put together, I guess capturing where they thought the future of the online experience would go to.
Not now, Bot. I have to find and download this week's course readings.
Biometric retina scanning process initiated. Biometric retina scan complete. EU Connect interface now live.
Yes, I told you. We can go when I'm done. Fine, I'll download my course readings onto my tablet.
Download to portable device complete.
Okay, let's go.
That's it. I don't think I'll bother recapping. Do you want to move on to questions if there's any? Thank you.
Now, I haven't seen any questions come through on the online question provider. Are there questions from the floor? And apologies if they have come through because I am having a bit of trouble refreshing. Are there questions from the floor? Yes. Do we have a portable mic? Thank you.
Just a question regarding the portal, your student portal. Do you have to re-implement something, or is it a refresh of the existing portal that you had?
So phase one, we just did like for like on the existing one. So that was really quite simple. It was a tech upgrade and just with some basic functionality enhancement because the technology allowed us. It's the next phase that's really been around looking at what we can do with that technology and what the students are really looking for. And also where the business benefit for the institution is if we push particular types of information or you know, task lists and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hi, thank you. Great presentation. Keep presenting. Just team from Melbourne here. We're just interested in how far back you went with that user experience. What systems did you touch before you sort of got to the LMS, or are you thinking of?
So really, we mapped out, I think, this probably happened 3 years ago, and it was really about what systems our students were actually interacting with at that point in time. So that was the touch points that we kind of mapped out for the matrix. Ultimately, we found, you know, those core systems like the admin centre and LMS and library and the website were probably where the highest value, to focus our prioritisation of improvements, and that will be, continuing on, I think, into the future there.
Just to add to that, with so many online touch points to consider, to even find the gaps, we had to categorise them into personal, technical, administrative and academic. And then through that, even a hierarchy system of those simple information providing, interactive or more transformative systems as well. So it really was quite a big body of work to identify the gaps in the different categories. Yeah.
We have time for one last question, if there is one. There's one just here.
Hello. Hi, Gary Brown from Sydney. I just noticed on that last slide you mentioned UX policy and procedures. Is that something that you have done already or in the process of doing? And what was the process of that?
Okay, so at USQ we have a policy framework cycle. I think what we developed or what we identified early on was that we really needed policy to really back this up and to give it the teeth, I suppose, that it needed. And to ensure that sort of senior executive buy-in. So that was something Joe painstakingly did, I think, over a whole year. It involved a lot of collaboration with stakeholders to write that policy, particularly a procedure as well. We're at the pointy end of that now. It's almost at gazettal point. The next challenge, of course, is implementing that. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you. And if you have any further questions, I'm sure they'll be around afterwards. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences with us. Right, it's now a break time. Thank you.